Welcome back. Now we are moving into the 6th week of this course on manufacturing strategy, and in last few sessions we have discussed the role of quality in manufacturing excellence, and you will find lot of literature, lot of discussion that quality is center to manufacturing excellence. We will be discussing about different types of manufacturing excellence awards, business excellence awards, and we will find that the root of all these excellence awards is in quality management. So, quality alone is a very important contributor in achieving the manufacturing excellence. Now, this idea of quality in its present form has come with the contribution of large number of quality gurus. Those philosophers, those thinkers who contributed in the development of this discipline, we need to understand their philosophy, because then only we can use quality for the strategic purpose. In our last session, we discussed about quality triology, where we had three important roles for the quality. One is from the focus point of view, another from the strategic point of view, and third from the holisticness point of view. And therefore, if we understand the aspects, if we understand the idea behind those kind of dimensions, then only we can do proper justice with quality management. Now, in this particular session, we will be discussing the contribution of Edward Deming, who is known as the father of modern quality. We in our previous session discussed the development of quality from the inspection era to total quality management. Now, from inspection to total quality management, there are large number of people who contributed, because initially it was simply grading and sorting, and then people realized that for effective quality management we can use the principles of probability, and in the form of statistics we started using those principles, that it is impossible to check the product quality for the large number of products you are manufacturing. And when you cannot check the quality of all the products, the concepts of probability started coming into the picture for quality. And the idea of Edward Deming in the field of quality management is emphasized from this very idea of use of statistics, use of tools and techniques for quality management. So, now when we start discussing about Deming's contribution in the quality management, so the basic idea around which Deming's view about quality are centered, that is that if you can reduce the statistical variation, so this reduction in statistical variation will directly help in improving the productivity, and hence he said that it will help you in improving the competitive position of the organization. So, Deming was one person who linked quality with competitiveness of the organization. He said that reduce the variation in your production processes, reduce the variation in your final output, and by reducing the variation you will be able to improve the productivity, and this improved productivity will help you in achieving the competitiveness. And this is what we are discussing since last 5 weeks, that how to achieve competitiveness from your manufacturing. So, Deming gave a simple formula, a simple proposition for achieving the competitiveness, and that simple proposition is based on that reduce variation and this reduced variation will help you in improving your competitiveness. So, this became a kind of formula, you can say, from Deming's approach, and later on this idea became so popular that across the globe and across industries people started following this idea of Deming, that how we can implement statistical process control techniques in our organization, though these things started primarily for the manufacturing organization. But later on, because of the success of these ideas, people started using these concepts for services organizations also. So, nowadays the concepts of statistical variation reduction are applicable equally in manufacturing as well as in services organization, and all types of organizations, whether it is automobile companies, whether it is consumer durables, or whether it is a banking company, whether it is a healthcare company, whether it is an airline, all are using the processes related to statistical quality control, statistical process control, so that variations can be minimized, variations can be eliminated, and we all know that if we can eliminate the variations, it will help us in getting the consistency in my output. The basic idea is that if variations will not be there, so I will have consistent output, and if I have consistent output, I can take the advantage of that in wide variety of things. For an example, let me just give you that how the consistency will help me in improving the competitiveness. Now, consistency helps in competitiveness, that is what I am saying. Now, consistency means I can exactly say that I will be delivering you product in 10 days. I will be delivering you product in 10 days. So, I am committing a lead time of 10 days. Now, if I have consistency that I will be delivering in 10 days, so my customer will maintain inventory only for 10 days, because he knows that I am very much consistent in what I am saying, and on exactly 10th day I will be supplying the new consignment, and he will not keep any safety stock. And if he do not keep any safety stock, this will help him in reducing the inventory cost, and accordingly competitiveness, because you are not keeping inventory for the safety purpose. So, your cost of inventory will go down, and your cost of inventory will go down, and therefore, your overall cost of manufacturing will also go down, and that will help you in improving the competitiveness. So, the one simple example of the consistency, that if I am having a consistency in my lead time, how it can help us in improving the competitiveness. Most of the customers nowadays, they want that you should be very particular about your delivery dates. So, even if I discussed in earlier sessions order winners and qualifiers, so my delivery dates are very important order winners and qualifiers in different markets, and depending upon my consistency of delivery, I can win large number of orders. So, all those things. So, this statistical variation reduction is not only related to some specification, some dimension of this pen. The diameter of this pen is few millimeter. So, the consistency means that all the pens which I am producing are having the same amount of diameter. So, that is one way of understanding the consistency, but Deming said that we can have consistency across processes, across functions, and therefore, I am taking you to an example of lead time. I can have you the examples of so many other functional activities, that how can you have consistency with respect to various aspects in your organization. And wherever you have consistency, because of statistical variation reduction, you will have more competitiveness. So, that is the precise in you can say one sentence, if I want to summarize the idea of Deming. And for that purpose, Deming emphasized on different types of quality, because everywhere he was talking of consistency. So, he mentioned about quality of design, he mentioned about quality of conformance, he also mentioned about quality of the sales and services, that it is not only you have quality during the production process, quality during the design. So, these two things are when things are within your organization, but once product goes to the customer's hand, even at that time, how are you providing the after sales support, how are you providing the maintenance support once a product fails. So, the quality related to those things, each time my product fails and I know that I will get a service in 30 minutes or I will get a service in 40 minutes. Like in some of the cases, we know that in some developed nations, if there is an emergency, ambulance will come within 10 minutes, within 9 minutes. So, that is again a consistency, that as a customer, as a citizen in that case, I am very much sure that wherever I will be, ambulance will come to me in less than 10 minutes. In our case, the situation is very much reversed. Even if I am at best of the place, I may be in the national capital region, but I am not sure how much time it may take to reach ambulance to me. Variety of reasons may be there, maybe traffic jam is there, maybe some road maintenance is going on, maybe ambulance is not free, maybe driver is not immediately available. So, plenty of reasons are there, but if I want to have consistency, I need to remove all these reasons, I need to find solutions for all these reasons. That is precisely the idea of Deming. Now, for implementing these things, for how to have consistency and how to improve the productivity and finally to get competitive advantage, how to have some kind of winning performance with this, Deming proposed some 14-point agenda. So, now let us discuss what is that 14-point agenda which was proposed by Deming for achieving the manufacturing excellence through quality. So, now the first point which Deming said is create constancy of purpose for improving products and service. The first important thing is that you should have a constant purpose, the continuous improvement. If you do not have this constant purpose of improving products and services, if you today understand that I should do this improvement, tomorrow you forget, then after 6 months again you recall, oh, I need to work on improving this process. So, if this type of approach is there, you cannot use quality for your strategic advantage. So, there has to be a constancy or continuity, what I was saying, the word continuity of purpose, and the continuity of purpose for improving products and services. So, it cannot be intermittent kind of activity, rather it has to be a continuous kind of activity. The second important thing is about the change management. You need to adopt new philosophy. That traditional approach of quality was related to some exclusive products, some high end products, and now we say that the meaning of quality is about reducing the variations. Meaning of quality is to make products which are useful to the customers, and therefore, we need to change our mindset, adoption of new philosophy. Many of our marketeers as well as manufacturers are not able to understand that what type of products people below poverty line wants, and therefore, they want to offer products of inferior quality to them. Products which are of inferior quality are not liked by people below poverty line. They want that product should be fit for use. So, you need to provide only those limited performance and features which are required by them. By reducing the quality labels, by providing large number of features, but if product cannot work, there is no purpose. So, therefore, many of the products which we try to offer for rural markets, which we try to offer for bottom up pyramid are not successful, because we are not able to adopt the philosophy that what customer wants. So, this is second important point about the Deming's approach. Then third important point is cease dependence on inspection to achieve quality. The traditional view of quality is about inspection, that is the traditional approach. We thought that let us produce as much as we can, and there is an inspector sitting at the end of this production line, and it is the duty of that inspector to finally check whether the products are meeting the standards or not. So, it is not my responsibility, it is the responsibility of that checker, that inspector who is sitting at the last of this production line, and he is doing the sorting, he is doing the grading, and accordingly the products will be passed or rejected. So, this point of Deming says that if I am doing something, I should take responsibility on my own, rather taking the benefit of that inspection activity, or he says that we need to remove our dependence, we need to remove our dependence for quality on the inspection activities. Then another important thing which Deming said, that end the practice of avoiding business on price alone. Instead, minimize total cost by working with a single supplier. We normally go with the quotation kind of system, and where we give order to the supplier who is giving us product at the minimum possible cost. So, in our language in India, we call it as L1 supplier. The lowest cost is being offered by this supplier, and we call that supplier as L1 supplier. So, we need to eliminate, we need to remove this practice of giving orders only on the basis of price. Rather, we need to see the total cost of working with a single supplier. Maybe this idea says that we can think of 2, 3, 4 suppliers for the same product, and then we see that what is the total cost coming with those 2, 3 suppliers, and what is the total cost coming if I am working only with a single supplier based on cost alone. And maybe it is possible that when I work with 2, 3 different suppliers, the cost may reduce than the cost which I am incurring when I am using only a single supplier. So, this also requires a change of mindset, it also requires change of processes, that instead of going for one single supplier which is selected only on the basis of cost, we need to consider other parameters also, and for having a comparative analysis you can consider the concept of total cost, and where the cost of quality etc. can also be included. So, this is another important point raised by Deming. Then the fifth principle of Deming is related to how to improve constantly and forever every process for planning, production and service. So, again he emphasized that we need to have a continuous improvement system, and this continuous improvement system should be applicable for all the processes which are related to planning, production and services of the organization. So, that is important thing. Then Deming also emphasized on training on the job, that we need to do some kind of arrangement for on the job training. And if we remember the contribution of F.W. Taylor, the father of scientific management, he also advocated a lot about training, and Deming also said that training, on the job training is very important. Without on the job training, it is not possible to achieve high quality standards. So, training is emphasized by Deming also. Then another important thing is adopt and institute leadership. There are positions which by virtue of position becomes leader. So, the top management in the organization, because he is CMD, he is leader of the organization. But we need to create many other smaller leaders also, those who can guide their respective functional activity. So, we need to develop and institute leadership at various levels, at various functional roles in the organization. So, that is another important thing about principles of quality by Deming. Then another thing is drive out fear, a very important thing from the Indian point of view. In India, we are more or less like to work as our predecessors were doing. So, we follow that approach, that if my seniors were doing this task in this way, I will also do same way. So, we do not want to do anything differently, and that is one of the major challenge identified everywhere about the poor performance of many Indian organizations. And this poor performance or this following the legacy kind of approach is because of some fear factor, because I do not want to be fail, I do not want to be known as that I did something fancy and it failed. So, that type of fear is always there in my mind, and I want to say that if that fear is there, we cannot use creativity of our employees. It is one of the important challenge for the process of innovation also, and in this process of continuous improvement, we will continuously moving for new systems, we will be adopting new methodologies, we will be adopting a new kind of mindset, and that all is possible. All those new things are only possible when we remove fear from our minds. So, unless until fear is there, we cannot adopt a new philosophy. So, for effective change management, it is very important that we drive out fear. So, that is another important thing, that how do we drive out fear, and now organizations have started doing workshops on change management, how to develop the organization where everyone is free and we respect the leadership, but at the same time we are participating in the decision making, we are able to say our thoughts, we are able to contribute with our potential in the development of the organization. So, that is also a very important idea about Deming. Then another important thing which Deming suggested, that break down barriers between staff areas. Now, in organizations normally we live in watertight compartments. I am a production person, you are a maintenance person, you are a purchase person, you are a design person, etc., etc. But if we want to go into total quality management kind of area, we need to remove these barriers. These watertight compartments cannot facilitate the achievement of total quality management. So, the barriers need to be removed. Then another important thing is eliminate slogans, targets for the workforce, because quality is the total quality management particularly is an organizational wide activity, and most of these slogans etc. targets are given for the workforce. So, that means we are creating divide in the organization. Targets, slogans are for the workforce, and the other people, the top management people are there to monitor the performance of the workforce. If this will happen, then you cannot have the same constancy of purpose. And whether you go to Henry Fayol's principles of management, in one of the principle Henry Fayol mentioned about esprit de corps, same thing is here, that eliminate slogans, eliminate targets for the workforce. We all need to be the part of same boat. So, slogans, targets etc. not for the workforce, but for the entire organization. Then another principle was eliminate numerical quotas for the workforce and numerical goals for the management. Almost similar thing, that specific quota, specific targets, goals should not be there. It is a collective overall responsibility. Because why it is so? It is so that when some specific numerical targets are given to us, that particular functional area, that particular level of management thinks that our objective is just to achieve that numerical value without considering the overall functioning of the organization, without taking care into the aspects of customer requirements. So, that numerical value supersedes every other thing in the organization. So, if I say to my organization that the production department, I want to have a daily production of 100 tons of steel from you. So, that production department considers that if I achieve 100 tons of steel every day, that will fulfill my purpose, that will fulfill my existence as the supervisor of that production area. But in that I may not be able to in proper sync with other functional areas. So, therefore, it is better that we eliminate the numerical targets for our management. That another important thing is remove barriers that rob people of pride of workmanship and eliminate the annual rating or merit system. Now, another important thing, another barrier can be there where we can have some system of ranking, some system of appraisal which can take away our pride. So, all those things which are responsible in removing our pride, we should try to eliminate, we should try to remove those things from my organization. Then institute a vigorous program of education and self improvement for everyone. So, we already discussed about that there need to be a system of training education, but that system of training and education is not limited only for the workmen, it has to be for everyone. This is very important. In many of the organization, we only consider that people at the lower level, people at the front end, they need to be trained, but Deming said that there is urgent requirement of training at the all levels, whether it is top, middle or front level. So, for all the levels training is very, very important. And then finally, the last point, 14th one, Deming said that put everybody in the company to work accomplishing the transformation. This idea of total quality management is the idea of transformation of the organization from the traditional view to enlightened view. And when we are talking of traditional view to enlightened view, it requires a complete change in mindset, and therefore, everybody from the top to bottom need to accomplish this transformation, then only you can achieve this benefit. Finally, we also know one very important contribution coming from the Deming, that is in the name of PDCA cycle, that you have this cycler approach where you go for plan, do, check and act, and through this approach of PDCA we are able to do continuous improvement in our organization. So, PDCA became a very popular way of continuous improvement or Kaizen in our organizations. We have already discussed about Kaizen earlier, and maybe in our subsequent sessions also we will discuss in more detail about PDCA and Kaizen, that how to use Kaizen in the organizations. So, with this we finally understand that how Deming contributed in giving those ideas which can take your organization to the world class manufacturing status. With this we come to end of this session. Thank you very much.